Hello there, my name is Kalani and welcome to my channel Outside with Kalani Shots. And today I am going to talk to you guys about what I learned from my backpacking trip in Big Bend. If you watched that video, you saw that it ended with me in tears. I just don't know why I feel so sad. Yeah, it was very emotional, and it took me a few days to kind of come to a really good conclusion. Initially, my first thought was, I never ever want to do this backpacking crap again. Like, why would anybody want to do that? But I told myself, okay, don't make a decision just yet. Let's get a little bit of sleep under our belt, and then you can come back and decide what you want to do going forward. So I feel like I learned so much from that backpacking trip. So I wanted to start with this. So many times in life, we have an expectation. I know for myself, I have expectations that everything is going to go perfectly. It's going to go exactly the way that I want it to go. And yeah, point blank, period. And that's exactly how it should be. When you go in with that expectation, you automatically set yourself up for failure, one. But two, I think that when I say we, I'm going to say me. I think that we've forgotten the fact that sometimes failure or perceived failure can be so beneficial for us. I've gone on lots of backpacking trips. I've gone on lots of backpacking trips by myself and have had wonderful times and great experiences getting away and being in nature. But that backpacking trip alone by myself, again, I've done it before, I learned so much, but that's because it didn't go the way that I planned, and I didn't enjoy it the way that I thought that I was. And I'm actually really grateful for the fact that it didn't go as planned, because now I know some more things, and that's a good thing. So I don't want us to look at failure or perceived failure as a bad thing. Look at it as a growing opportunity, a learning opportunity, a way for you to get better at this thing that you like, this thing that you enjoy doing. So with that being said, I brought my little cheat sheet and I wrote down some things that I learned from this last backpacking trip. So the first thing that I learned is that one-person backpacking tents are not for me. No ma'am. No ma'am. We're not doing it again. I don't need to experiment anymore. One-person backpacking tents are not for me. The tent that I took out in Big Bend, I have the X-Mid one-person, the Dan Durston tent. Now, I've used that tent before. I really like the tent. The last time I used it, it was in like severe wind, storm, and that thing held up. Like, I was not worried about it one bit. It's a great tent. But I'm the kind of person that likes to take everything out of my bag when I get into my tent at night. I like to line things up in a certain order and be able to reach and know where everything is. And for me, I wasn't able to do that in the one-person tent. And I don't think that that's what it's expected to do. I think most of the times you're expected to put your things outside in the vestibule, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So going forward, I'm gonna use a two-person backpacking tent. And you saw on the backpacking trip with my dad that my pole broke on my big Agnes tent. And so I didn't bring that with me on this last one. I had to have something else. And I didn't want to bring like my regular Amazon or Walmart tent, which weighs way more. So yeah, I took the one person. And I learned then that I'm officially not a one-person tent kind of girl. My advice would be, especially if you're new to this stuff, try it out at home first. And when I say try it out at home, I've used this tent at home in the backyard, but I didn't have everything with me. I'm in my backyard. I don't need all the things that I would normally have in a backpack. So when I say try it out at home, I mean set it up exactly how you would if you were backpacking. Have all of the things with you that you would have if you were backpacking, and then see how you feel about it. And if you're fine with leaving your things outside, if in the vestibule, if you're fine with things just kind of being bunched up everywhere, then that's fine. That's good. At least you know. But I know. And it took me driving almost 10 hours and in the desert and away to learn that Kalani Shots absolutely does not like one-person tents. Now, a one-person tent that I do want to get eventually is the X Dome? The Dome X? Whatever that new tent that Dan Durson has out. I would be interested in getting that one because there's a little bit of room on the inside for you to put your things. So anyway, I don't like one-person tents. If you are a person that likes one-person tents, can you comment below and tell me why? And what do you do with your things? Do you just leave your things outside? Do you put them inside with you? Like, what do you do? Help me learn. Please, so comment below. The second thing I learned, and this is for the ladies, so I'm sorry, if you're a guy, you're gonna have to fast forward. Because I have 2 topics for the ladies. So the second thing I learned is that my body has different needs when I'm on my cycle. And like, that's obvious in regular life, right? I know that my body behaves differently when I'm on my cycle versus when I'm not on my cycle. But when you're backpacking, I feel like it's that even more. So I've backpacked in very cold weather. Sorry, my phone was ringing. I've backpacked in very cold weather before. I have a 0-degree sleeping bag, and I've been fine. I've had my layers and all the things, and I've been good. Like, warm, toasty. I'm good. But during this backpacking trip, while I was on my cycle, I noticed that even though I had all the layers and all the things that I normally have, my toes, the tips of my toes and the tips of my fingers just would not stay warm. Like, no matter what I did, they just would not stay warm. I know that one thing I could have done differently was I could have brought like a Nalgene bottle and boiled hot water and put it in there and slept with that. I could have brought some hand warmers to use, which I didn't bring. I think that in the future, I will do one of those 2 things, or I might invest in some down booties. I hear that they're like super lightweight and people that use them actually like them. So that's something that I might try. But I think I learned the hard way that my body just has different needs and requires different things when I'm on my cycle, when I'm backpacking. So I need to keep that in mind. Like, what could potentially be different when I'm out there in the middle of nowhere? I don't have anything for comfort. Anyway, the third thing that I learned, and this is for the ladies again, is that I need to come up with a better system for handling my period on trail. When I was on the PCT, most of the times when I was on my period, it aligned with when we happened to be at a hotel. There might have been like one time where it didn't, and I used a menstrual cup, and it was fine. But I'm not that comfortable with using a menstrual cup, and it doesn't always work. Sometimes I have leakage, and so you have like backup methods and all these different things. And so when I went on my backpacking trip this time, all I brought was tampons. That was it. Tampons, and I brought with me, actually I have it in here. I brought with me a couple of these. They're like smell-proof bags, so that when I was done with the tampon, I could put it in here and seal it up. I need a better system. So something that I think I would do differently is I would definitely bring the tampons, but I would also probably go ahead and bring panty liners because that's what I normally wear in real life. And then instead of having this size of a smell-proof bag, I would get a taller, like a bigger smell-proof bag so that more can fit in there. So I think that's what I would do differently. In my mind, I would like to get more comfortable with menstrual cups. I know it's like less waste and, you know, better for a lot of things, right? But that takes time and it's a learning curve. So I could do that, but if by the time I go on my next backpacking trip and I'm on my cycle again, if I haven't practiced that method, then I'm just going to do the tampons with panty liners and a larger smell-proof bag. For my ladies out there, if this is something that you've encountered a lot, what is your go-to method for handling your cycle when you're on your period? If you're a guy, welcome back. The fourth thing and the last thing that I learned from this backpacking trip is that it would probably be beneficial to take a map reading class. Yeah. Okay. So normally when I go on backpacking trips, I either use All Trails app or I use the Far Out app. And the great thing about those apps is that it will tell you, you know, where water is, where, you know, roads are, where camping sites are. It tells you everything. So you don't have to know anything. When I went to Big Bend, this was what they considered like true backcountry backpacking. There weren't specific locations for you to camp. There weren't marked water sources for you to go to and know where they were. So I literally had to figure out where I was gonna sleep. And because I hadn't had a map reading class, when I was just looking at the map, I was like, okay, I know that this, like from here to here is about 9 miles and I can't park too close. I can't camp too close to this road. So maybe I'll stop about 7.5, 8 miles or so. So right around here. But if you're looking at the map, right around here, all the lines are super close together, which means that it's not very flat. So I learned that the hard way and I had to keep walking. Yeah, I kind of learned on the fly to look at my phone, and thank goodness I had downloaded a map of the area before I left the house. And I saw like the latitude and longitude, which I've never used before, but I was like, okay, this says this says this, where is it on the map? Okay, this is this number, this is this number. Okay, so I'm somewhere around here. Is that how you use that? I don't know. That's how I did. But it wasn't, I feel like, very accurate. So a map reading class would be very beneficial. Most of the time, especially if you're using apps like All Trails or Far Out, like you're not going to need it. But if you're trying to plan your own backpacking trips in a place that's not already like a designated trail, then it would be beneficial to learn how to read a map. That's what I would do differently. Or that's what I learned. I hope this video, I don't know, is beneficial or something for someone. I don't even know. I feel like I'm rambling right now. But those are the 4 things that I learned. Well, really 5. Those are the things that I learned, that just because something doesn't turn out the way that you think that it should doesn't mean that it's not beneficial for you. As this trip didn't turn out the way I wanted it to, but it was beneficial and I learned a lot. The first real thing that I learned is that I don't like one-person hints. The second thing is that my body requires different things when I'm on my cycle. The third thing is that I need a better system for handling my cycle when I'm backpacking. And last but not least, it might be beneficial to learn how to read a map. And probably all of these things are like, duh, girl. But I've been backpacking pretty consistently since I got off the PCP in 2021. And these are new things for me. And some of them are things that, like, I kind of knew, or I thought, like, I don't really feel like I like one person too. But I hadn't, like, firmly decided. Now I've officially decided. Anyway, so what are some things that you've learned while backpacking that you feel like has helped to make your backpacking experience better? I would love to know what you learned while out there in the backcountry. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you here next time.